Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 212. Today is the week of Blizzcon, one of the occasions that we're all looking for every single year. And that means that we have some predictions, some possible leaks, and more to talk about. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. I am Annie, or Annie Fuchsia, and my lovely co-host is, as usual, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I'm Perk. I run Wowhead. We were wearing onesies today because Blizzard sent me some awesome merchandise to unbox, so we'll get to that on the show. But we have a lot to discuss, including BlizzCon leaks, the schedule, and even some pretty wild 8.3 data mining, like the whole corruption system and a end of the raid cutscene. So, also, Annie did not introduce herself completely. She is a full-time Twitch streamer, in
True.
addition to being our lovely host. And
Thanks, Perk.
yeah, so the show
At least I remember to
as...
say who I am.
Yes.
Well, not the full thing, but I remember to say my name. I remember there were a lot of shows where I didn't even say my name at all. I was just like, yeah, let's get started. There you go. There's Perk.
Yeah.
I'm just used to streaming. I'm not used to doing YouTube things. So the natural thing for me is just to switch on the stream and start talking about whatever we're going to talk about.
Are you looking at Right Paw? What is he doing to me?
Oh, so cute. That is so cute. Aww. Luna.
He's stealing the show.
Yeah, in case you didn't realize, I'm wearing a very comfortable onesie. Where are you? But yes, we're Murlocs today, and we got Murlocs everywhere. I got my friend Murlocs here in the back as well. I've got my Murloc mug and my Murloc onesie. I'm green and Perk is red.
So why don't we discuss the leaks that everyone is talking about first, and then we'll discuss BlizzCon in general, and then before 8.3, we'll get to this big box behind me.
So there's been a lot of possible leaks going on for even weeks, I would say. And there's been slightly different ones, some of them more similar to each other than others. But one of the most interesting ones that was just now found was a picture that I will put on the screen right here. Perk, do you want to tell us how this picture was found?
Right. So the Blink store went up earlier today. So basically you can order stuff in advance and pick it up at BlizzCon, and there are special URLs for some of the raw images, and one of them happened to be Onyxia. Now there's a lot of gibberish in the URL, but people found out that if you kept the gibberish the same and at the end replaced the word Onyxia with Bolvar, this image would pop up. So, and I mean, if this is hosted on the official Blizzard Gear Shop website,
then it's
the
not
speculation,
a random Photoshop.
It's not a random Photoshop, and it also means that this could be one of the images that they, uploaded in advance and they wanted to keep hidden until all the announcements were revealed.
The picture is gone.
Yeah, so the picture, they removed all of the cache images. They took it down for maintenance, but there's a different URL that still works for it, and it was up for maybe like an hour or so before they had to take it down.
Yeah, so the link that I just posted in the Twitch chat worked for me less than an hour ago. I confirmed it because I clicked it myself, and now it's gone. So clearly they're like, oh, shit.
Because there was also
visible.
There was also art for Overwatch 2 that you could do by replacing the words Onyxia with OW2.
Oh, really?
So they're probably like, let's just remove all of the images for now in case people, find other stuff. Like, this wasn't rocket surgery. I mean, this was just like, replace word Onyxia with Bolvar. Like, it's very easy. So I don't think this was anyone's fault at Blizzard. I think that it was related to the company they use for the actual shop. Just the way that the images are uploaded. They should probably have changed the hash so it wasn't the exact same, randomized hash for all the images, because hey, that defeats the purpose of having the, randomized part in the URL.
Yeah.
But yes,
Maybe the pictures
so
should have been called like random names or something. But
yeah,
I'm guessing they were keeping these pictures in an actual folder somewhere where they're being uploaded from. So
yeah.
it happens, and people. There's enough people out there trying out different combinations of things for this to be found, and there
Yeah.
it is.
So yeah, so with this image, obviously people are thinking that Shadowlands is going to be the next WoW expansion because we've got Bolvar as very clearly the Lich King, and we've been having all that other data mining talking about things like, Death Knights can be Pandaren, and then there's the Lich King voiceover that's been hidden, and then there's been like a cinematic hinting that the Death Knight starting zone's getting a revamp, and we have all those Death Knight swords. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a huge surprise, but
It's
it's
still exciting.
official. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Wrath of the Lich King was a big expansion, and going back to that is gonna be super cool. There's one question I have: how come
Mhm.
Bolvar's eyes are blue?
Yeah. So when I saw the image floating around several days ago, I opted
Mm-hmm.
not to post it on Wowhead because I'm like, his eyes are orange, not blue. This must be some awesome fan art, but
That's what I
it
was
must be
thinking
a
too.
fake.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking too. But now it's like it's pretty confirmed that it's an official Blizzard picture. So what does this mean?
So I think we're gonna get a cinematic where it's gonna be some sort of like Sylvanas or Lich King confrontation, and we're gonna learn why his eyes turn blue. Like I've seen a few uh discussions out there saying, oh, it's been a while since Bolvar was the Lich King. Maybe this is just to symbolize that he's like fitting more into the role, that the Lich King has taken him over.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's something more forcible, like maybe Nerzul still resides in the helm, and this is showing that, you know, Bolvar, like there's no scrap of Bolvar left.
Mm-hmm.
He's being mind controlled, or maybe when he's tapping into the power of the helm, maybe his eyes turn blue when he's really channeling the magic. And
Hmm.
people are like, well, what can make his eyes turn from orange to blue? Well, maybe he fights Sylvanas, or maybe he interacts with his daughter Talia in some form, or maybe she dies somehow, and like that's the
Oh.
last bit of his humanity, and then it goes to blue after that. But I think it looks very cool, and the weapon also reminds me of one of the Death Knight artifacts as well, the blood one. So
Mm.
I'm curious to see what's gonna happen. I wonder if they're gonna pull an Illidan with Bolvar, where the Lich King and Illidan were kind of the big bads of their expansions, and then in Legion, Illidan was more nuanced, and we kind of worked
Like
with him.
redeemed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now with the Lich King, the Death Knights work with the Lich King in Legion, and then when you do the Vol'jin quest line, we work with the Lich King, and he's kind of grumpy, but we're working with him.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to wonder if this will be a similar thing where maybe the Lich King wants to raise a lot of Death Knights to counteract whatever Sylvanas is trying to do. Maybe she wants the Lich King's crown, so he is trying to defend his throne, and that's why the crown is glowing all blue.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
What was the
it's a
last of
beautiful image.
what was the last of Talia that we saw?
So she's been kind of in the background for a few patches, but we
Mm-hmm.
did data mine that broadcast text where uh remember back in the start of BFA,
Mm-hmm.
Anduin and Talia were talking about Bolvar, and
When they
Anduin
just
said
met.
that when the
Mm-hmm.
conflict was over, he would tell her the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that dialogue with Anduin and Jaina
Mm-hmm.
where Jaina's like, "Oh, Talia wants to see you and learn about her father," and Anduin's like, can we not do this now?"
Yeah. Do you think things will unfold before he gets a chance to talk about it? So
Yeah,
then
I
she
mean
might get mad at him?
that's sort of a movie trope, like even with Game of Thrones at the very start, where it's like, when I'm back from this, Jon Snow, I'll tell you who your true father is.
Yeah.
So I feel like Talia's gonna get strung along, and she's going to learn about
In a
her
bad way.
father.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in a way that does not involve Anduin calmly telling her.
Because that could also potentially lead to some more conflicts.
Yeah. Like either she'll be in shock or maybe she tries to intervene or thinks that, well, the Lich King is still her father in some way. It could go in a lot of different ways. So I feel like, I don't know, I don't think I sort of don't want her to die just because
No.
we need more new characters in WoW, and she was being built up as a very friendly, interesting character. So it would be good not to have her trajectory cut short, but I guess we'll see very soon. But I think we're definitely going to have a Sylvanas and Lich King confrontation. If maybe she wants his throne, maybe that's how she would finally get closure, taking what Arthas once was.
Yeah, I definitely think that Sylvanas will be a part of this. Like we're not seeing the end of Sylvanas anytime soon, and
Nope.
the whole of BFA has kind of built towards it.
Yeah. Right pose being very distracting. No scratch. Yeah, I mean BFA, like Sylvanas is clearly not around in 8.3, and she's gonna come back at some point, and she keeps saying that she wants to master death, so what better time than when the Lich King is also planning things. So maybe she thinks that she has her army of loyal followers, and she's been raising Forsaken through her Valkyr, and now the Lich King is like, well, I'm going to bolster my ranks of Death Knights to counteract whatever Sylvanas is doing.
Do you think Sylvanas could be the one that causes this to happen?
Yeah, I could see her try to do something like she maybe uses Blight and tries to raise everyone, and then the Lich King tries to turn them into Death Knights to prevent Sylvanas from gaining control of them, so they serve him instead of her. Like maybe we have some horrible battle where, like it could be a pre-launch event where it's this clash and Sylvanas, like we've learned that Sylvanas is like, oh, I don't care if the Horde and Alliance hate me, I don't care. It's like, well, what does she have planned? She has something terrible planned, and then she actually does this terrible thing, kills a lot of people, and then the Lich King tries to raise them so they serve him instead, and that can explain why the allied races and Pandaren.
I was just gonna say that too. Why there's even more races that can now become Death Knights, and that's also really interesting. Because that probably means that we're gonna see a whole new way of Death Knights actually being created. I mean, that brings another question. Do you think that Death Knights will start from a higher level? Because that's also been suggested by a lot of people.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because we need to have the motivation. Why are these Pandaren and allied races suddenly Death Knights? And the Demon Hunters start at a much higher level now, so I feel like the Death Knights are kind of outdated starting at 55, and they would get bumped up as well.
Because if they have a new starter zone, new story, updated story rather, then it would make more sense for them to actually start touching the new expansion levels. So it would make more sense to start somewhere between 115 and maybe 120, so that when people decide to become a Death Knight, they can sort of jump straight into the new expansion. Because that's how it was for wait, actually, no, they were quite Hunters, low levels back in Wrath of the Lich King.
Well, like they were still fairly higher up. I mean, they weren't starting at like 55 when the max level is 120 versus 55 versus 70. The Death Knights still started at a relatively high level. So it would make sense to do that, especially if they're meant to be central to the current storyline. It would be very disjointed if you had to level at 55 and then be like, oh, I'm so important to the story, and now I'm going to go off in Mr. Pandaria for a few levels. I think that would be strange.
So I guess when you made DKs back in the day, you're skipping the classic content, but you're doing the TBC and the Wrath content. So you didn't skip the TBC content. That's interesting.
No.
But so, yeah, I guess it's possible that they might be a little bit lower than 115 in that case, maybe even 110. But regardless, I don't think they would be lower than Demon Hunters, because like you said, then it feels like the Demon Hunters is more important, not important, but more relevant in terms of levels. Right. They want to make people be interested in creating a DK, so it should probably be the same or above what a Demon Hunter is. And then maybe, what else was I gonna say? Do you think this also means that there will be no Death Knights below level 60 anymore? or well, below whatever level will be introduced. Because if they remove the original Death Knight part, then that means you can never be a Death Knight between 55 and
Right.
whatever level that
Which is, I mean, it's tricky because the starting zone for Death Knights, it's kind of buggy and it's showing its age, but it also had a very important lore moment, you know, the founding of the Ebon Blade, and, you know, Tyrion had Ashbringer there. Like, it's a very important part. So I don't know if they would get rid of the story outright.
So you think maybe they'll have both? You decide if you want to
Yeah,
start at 55 or
yeah.
100 and
Or
whatever.
maybe the new races have to start as maybe the new races get to start higher up.
Okay.
And get to do that special quest line. Like if a character is made after a certain date, they get to do the new one, or I don't know, if you're a human, you get the old one. Bright pond, no water.
Aw. Because it's going to be interesting having, oops, I just accidentally moved my camera. There you go. Having a different level range of Death Knights. What happens to the lower level Death Knights? Do they still exist? Can they still be created?
Now I'm thinking of allied races and how when you level from start to finish, you get the heritage armor without any boost. And now it's like, well, if everyone's a Death Knight, would everyone just want to roll a Death Knight to get their heritage armor if they start higher? How is that going to work?
Well, if you think about it, I think my camera's actually still too high. There we go. If you think about it, the heritage armor for, I think every single one of them requires you to level to 110. And if your Death Knight starts at 110, then you haven't leveled to 110.
Oh, that could be interesting. So it's like, oh, well, you know, if you want the heritage armor, you should level a regular class from scratch. But, and then I guess that could also fit the lore, because if your character is a Death Knight, they wouldn't necessarily have, you know, put in their time and earned their loyalty to the faction, which is why you get the heritage armor. It's like, oh, well, you're a member of this allied race and then you died. You haven't really done anything.
yeah, exactly. I think that could make sense.
Plus, as we've been data mining, we've been data mining those new looking swords, and they sort of, maybe they have their own unique set they get for doing the starting zone, which is similar-ish to heritage armor. If there's armor to go along with the weapons, I guess we'll see.
I mean, people don't have to feel like they're missing anything. If they really want to, then they can still level something else the whole way to 110, and then you can still use the heritage armor, I'm sure. Unless they change something in the system, because normally if you unlock, let's say, Void Elf heritage armor, then you can use that on any Void Elf like across your account, right? So if your Death Knight is a certain class, or sorry, a certain race, you could just make sure to level that race from 20 to 110 to then be able to use it on that Death Knight, even if that Death Knight wasn't the one that unlocked it.
I also wonder if they're going to be loosening the restrictions on heritage armor, because I feel like for allied races was very much a BFA thing. And I don't know if they're going to keep up the pace of allied races, but if they don't do as many allied races, they may just say, okay, you know, the whole idea of doing BFA content to unlock the allied race is kind of getting old. Let's make it easier for people to get heritage armor.
I could see that happening. I could see them loosening on the reputation requirements.
Oh, actually, I just realized that the level squish. Remember, that was in that survey talking about like not having as much levels. So if the levels are changing anyway, then that could also. I mean, there may not even be a level 115 after the level squish for a Death Knight to start at.
Oh, that's an interesting one, because I don't think there's been any kind of leak about it. So that would be a huge surprise for everyone.
Well, there was that survey that Blizzard put out being like, a level squish is happening.
Yes.
So, yeah, they kind of told us that.
That's true. But I feel like in any of the other kind of discussions, it hasn't been talked about that much. But you're right. They did ask that in that survey. So it could very much happen this time that we're going back to level 60, for example, for this new expansion. And then it would maybe make the DKs and the new DKs make a bit more sense, because it's just a new level overall. Yeah.
I think that fits things into place pretty well, actually. So.
Interesting. I forgot about the level thing. That's going to be cool.
I should do a post highlighting that because I forgot about that too until I was like, oh, we sort of knew this is a thing. Maybe.
Because it's definitely something that they're gonna do soon. Whether that's now, this expansion, or the next one, I don't know. Because they were talking about it in the survey, and in general, it's something that they've mentioned a lot of times, that they are realizing that levels are starting to feel too high, and leveling doesn't feel as rewarding when you don't unlock things every level.
Right.
So that's gonna be interesting. Should we go into the Death Knight talk straight away, or should we leave that for later? Because it's kind of relevant.
Why don't we hop around and do that next, actually, to further the evidence. So
I think it makes sense to go through it now.
Yeah. So, last week we had 2 bits of data mining, which are relevant to Death Knights in the future. The first thing is that we data mined a bunch of names for in-game cutscenes, and we data mined a string that was 8.3 brackets DKI Death Knight intro dash IGC. So this means that at some point there's going to be like a fade to black, and then something will happen that involves your character. So cinematic is when you have this long, super rendered thing, like, you know, the death of Kil'jaeden, or, you know, Sargeras throwing his sword into Azeroth. But the cutscene is when your character in their transmog is actively involved in the action, and is, you know, talking to the other characters. So something like that is happening with the Death Knight intro, which, you know, sort of confirms that it's getting a revamp. And
having
then
more cutscenes or new cutscenes.
Yeah. And then we last week we data mined the 2-handed swords, and one was the burning sword. And this week we have 1-handed swords. No burning version, but we've got the frost, blood, and unholy ones. So yeah, that's
so now it's both 2-handers and 1-handers. New weapons for Death Knights.
Yep, and the item level of the 2-handers was in line with what the starting zone one would be. So that's, you know, further more speculation that, oh, you know, this, you can play 1-handed or 2-handed any way you want. And does this burning sword mean that there's a 4th spec for, you know, Death Knights that do various different things? Because, you know, Bolvar is, you know, forged in fire. So we will see, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of swords being added, and that's sort of, I feel like Blizzard did not intend for this piece of art to be out there in advance, but I think they wanted people to be talking about Death Knights because they put those swords in, the 2-handed swords, and then a week later they added the 1-hand swords. You know, I feel like if they didn't want people to be discussing the swords, they wouldn't have added even more of them into the game the next week.
That's a good point. So they want the discussion around it in that case.
Yeah. I think they wanted some of this to build hype, but, you know, obviously not like, here's this.
No, not image. The picture. No.
Great. Yeah. So.
Because, like, theories and predictions and all that is good and hype, but when it's like straight up from the Blizzard site, then it's like, oh no. Then it's like they kind of told us, which isn't as fun anymore. But it's still hype though. It's gonna be interesting to hear exactly what's gonna happen. But yeah, I think covering those DK swords was very fitting now, since we were talking about the DK starting zone and everything already. You mentioned the item level of the weapons. So what is the item level of the weapons?
I think it was 58. It was something that was pretty low.
Okay.
So it was like, you know,
class level, or
like the actual level, like item level of the weapon. You know how things are like. I'm like 400 now. It's like that was like item level 50 or something.
Okay. And item level 50, is that what the DK starter weapons are now?
Yeah, it was pretty close to that. A lot of people were commenting on that. So yeah, so it seems related. Although obviously, if they're going to do a level squish, then I assume the levels of the weapons would change as well.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, I was wondering, because if we don't have a level squish, what does that potentially mean? That DKs will not get a higher level to start on?
Right.
But maybe they. Yeah, maybe they didn't put any work on the item level itself. Maybe they just kind of remade it from the original
Yeah,
weapons.
the names are really bad too. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was, Burning Blade of the Ebon Blade, like Unholy Blade of
Okay.
the Ebon Blade. Like it wasn't. It's like
Yeah.
we're saying blade too many times in this
Mm-hmm.
sentence.
Gotcha.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
why don't we discuss some of the things
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard definitely wanted us to be talking about, such
Yes.
as the
Official
schedule.
Blizzard news. Yes, we have a
Yeah.
schedule. It might be
Yeah,
hard to
which is
see here, but I'll put it up anyways. And yeah, go ahead.
so the schedule. It's still a bit it's very mysterious because everything on Friday is basically coming soon. So they've not
Yeah.
announced what's coming on that Friday.
Yep.
Um, we know that there's a lot of panels covering WoW on Saturday, including the voice actor panel, Hero's Journey at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
There is a WoW developer update, which was interesting because I assume some of the coming soon panels are about WoW, but there's still like a bread and butter developer update. There's the WoW Q&A, of course. There's a
Mm-hmm.
panel on Reforged, and there even seems to be a panel discussing the early history of WoW. So I assume that's for more of the WoW Classic crowd, because it's stories from the beginning of WoW, not stories from BFA.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we've got the opening ceremony at 11, and then we've got four coming soon panels on Friday and one coming soon panel on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Is it
So
normal to name these as coming soons?
no,
Oh,
it's
okay. It's
yeah,
usually like already announced what they are.
yeah. Like last year, like 2017, it's like here's the WoW update panel. We're like, okay, we'll talk about the expansion, but yeah, I have no idea. I
Mm.
mean, we'll go into predictions, but I could see Diablo 4, there's hardly any Diablo panels here. And I feel like
Mm.
there's got to be a Diablo 4 thing. And people are even saying Diablo 2 could be remastered, in the style of Warcraft 3 getting remastered. So
Mm-hmm.
I could see one or two panels for that. There's been some leaks that ESPN reported on for Overwatch 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see a panel on that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, if they do anything with mobile games, like people have been guessing that, WoW Pokemon Go could be a thing for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a coming soon. And I know that League of Legends, they just announced Riot Games, sorry. They introduced some more mobile games and even made fun of Diablo with their 10th anniversary
Yeah,
update.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I feel
Turns
like
out people do have phones.
yeah, and I feel like if they are announcing multiple mobile games and people like that, then maybe Blizzard would announce more. And I know that auto chess is getting pretty popular, and they just
Yes.
announced a version for that on phones. So maybe we're getting some sort of Blizzard auto chess game. Who knows?
Oh, interesting.
So I could see those covering some of the coming soon
Mm-hmm.
updates.
Was did Diablo or when if Diablo ever did when did Diablo ever have their own stage or was that never a thing?
They gave Diablo a few panels when they announced Reaper of Souls and then I think the Necromancer.
Okay, because I noticed here
So,
we have StarCraft as the at the bottom there, like the whole line for the whole day. Then you have the Hearthstone the whole day, and you have that WoW
those are
MDI.
the esports. So, like Diablo wouldn't have its own stage, but normally
Oh,
they would
gotcha,
announce
gotcha.
Diablo
Okay.
panels in advance. But the only panels I see announced for Diablo are like art, which is, cool.
All
But
right, gotcha.
I think they'll be announcing more besides art.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And yes, no Heroes of the Storm esports.
although there is a Heroes of the Storm panel, but yeah, it's sad with the Blizzard changing their budgets and priorities. There's no Heroes of the Storm
Mm-hmm.
esports anymore. Sad
Mm-hmm.
face.
Yeah, that's really interesting though with all the coming soons. Guess we'll
Yeah.
see what that's gonna be.
And the
I
other
can
interesting thing, sorry, go ahead.
um I was just gonna say I can definitely imagine at least one of them being to do with Diablo, especially since mobile was announced last year and there has been zero updates since, at least as far as I know. So they need to at
Yeah.
least give something about that. I'm guessing they were quiet because of the bad PR, so maybe they have to sort of announce it again together with something that PC gamers will be happy to hear. So, like you said, either a Diablo 2 remastered or maybe a Diablo 4. Bless
I
you.
could even see both. Sorry, thanks. I could even see both because if you look at the gear shop, there's a lot of kind of retro looking Diablo items on the shop, similar to how
Mm.
there's a lot of Lich King themed items
Mm-hmm.
on the shop for WoW, and we know
Mm-hmm.
they're like, now he's got this Bolvar art. So I could see both things coming, especially since Warcraft 3 Reforged is just being received so well by people loving the nostalgia and loving the updated models.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could see Blizzard, now that they have the tech to remaster one classic game with WoW,
Yeah.
trying to do that as well with Diablo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely see that happen
Yeah.
because
Um,
Diablo needs to kind of redeem itself a little bit after what happened last year. But yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
I was also going to say that normally the opening ceremony is all you can watch for free, but this year you can watch a lot of BlizzCon for free,
Okay.
including let's see. Uh where is it? Oh yeah, the first four panels on the Mythic stage are free if you go to the app or the Blizzard website.
So
So
those
all
coming
of the
soon panels.
yeah, those four coming soon panels
Oh.
anyone can watch.
Oh. And I bet at least one of them is Diablo.
Yeah. So I would imagine Diablo, Overwatch, WoW, maybe two WoW panels, or like
Hmm.
WoW expansion stuff, and then like
WoW
WoW,
expansion, WoW
WoW
8.3.
Pokemon Go, like WoW auto chess. I don't know, something.
So okay, so there's four of them there, and they wanted them to be public. So yeah, one could
Yeah,
be expansion, for WoW. One could be Diablo announcements. One Overwatch probably.
yeah. Especially if they want to do like the Overwatch 2
Mm-hmm.
rebrand. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently the coming soon panels are indeed free this time. There's
yeah,
more things. Sorry, not free. Or wait, are they actually free? Like they don't
yeah,
require the
yeah.
virtual ticket?
They This year, everyone's invited to watch the BlizzCon opening ceremony, all the BlizzCon esports tournaments, and select developer panels, including the first four panels on the Mythic stage following the opening ceremony, completely
Mm.
free on BlizzCon.com and in the BlizzCon mobile app.
Gotcha. Okay. So those four first coming soon panels, which will be probably the major announcements, they will
Mhm.
all be free for everyone to see. And then what
Yes.
the virtual ticket holders are paying for are the probably the in-depth information ones later on. Is there
Yeah.
any coming soons later on? Okay, yeah, there's two
One
coming
on
soons on the
Saturday.
next day.
Oh no, there's two? I thought there was just one.
Yeah, one at 12:15, right?
Oh no! Like, I'm just saying, oh no, because it's been so difficult to plan scheduling, like assigning people to panels when we don't know what's coming. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I didn't account for that. And the second coming soon is right after the Q&A, which is very big for Wowhead. And
Mm-hmm.
it's at the same time as the Warcraft 3 Reforged update, which people is also big for Wowhead. So I'm just like,
It's gonna be a lot of stuff there.
yeah. Yep. So altogether, there are six coming soon panels.
Yes. Interesting.
And
So
one of my
one of them is
coworkers
probably a
actually,
Diablo one, right? Or what do you think?
yeah, I mean, I imagine they'd have to have several Diablo panels. Like maybe I'm thinking now, Diablo 2 remaster panel,
Mm-hmm.
just Diablo 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm thinking a D4 panel that could get one or two, like
Mm-hmm.
especially if they introduce new characters or have a new type of hero to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My coworker pointed out actually that
Uh-huh.
at the BattleNet app, they added a tab just now called BlizzCon, and you can
Okay.
watch stuff there. So maybe that's how they want people to watch it easily.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking in the coming soon parts, they're gonna have to announce something to do with Diablo as well. So one of them is probably
Mhm.
meant as Diablo announcements. But then later on in the coming soon parts, surely they would maybe um, dedicate one of them at least for some more Diablo information.
Yeah, I could see them splitting it up and having two actually. Because if Warcraft Reforged is getting its own panel, then I could see, a D2 remaster getting its own panel too.
So if they would be talking about the expansion, let's say in World of
Mhm.
Warcraft, like a deep
Yeah.
dive into expansion, would that just go
Yeah.
under World of Warcraft update?
Well, I don't know if World of Warcraft update would be like 8.3.
Yeah.
So like maybe expansion is coming soon, and 8.3 is what we already know is coming Saturday.
Okay. So I guess if they announce the expansion, I guess they don't really have to throw a deep dive into it. They
Well,
just
or
talk
the,
about it
the deep dive could be the coming soon. So
on the first day.
like, yeah, so I could see deep dive expansion,
Mhm.
Diablo D2,
Mhm.
Overwatch 2,
Mhm.
and then I don't know, maybe another, but then there's like two more. I don't know, like
Mhm.
new mobile game thing as number 5, and then
Yeah.
I don't know, second Diablo 4
Mhm.
panel highlighting some, like, I don't know, specific things with it.
Mhm. Yeah, because I'm just wondering if the first one of those coming soon ones, the hours at the beginning on the first day,
Yeah.
if it's enough for the expansion.
I mean, they could have two for the expansion, but usually
Mm-hmm.
there's not a ton to demo with the expansion. Like when they announced the expansion at BlizzCon 2017,
Mm-hmm.
it was just, I think, like one, like part of Drustvar and Freehold you could run. It wasn't actually a ton you could play.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah,
So
that's fair enough. So then the deep dive in a way would make more sense with 8.3 in the World of Warcraft update.
yeah. Like maybe we get an 8.3 release date, but it's like, I mean, there's no need for secrecy because we already know what's coming in 8.3 more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could see 8.3 release date. I could see reminding people about WoW's 15th anniversary. Maybe they'll have some special new item to reveal with that to make the anniversary still have some surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they would explain, the pre-orders. Like, I don't know if you could get Death Knights, like, oh, but it's I feel like the World of Warcraft update on Saturday is going to be more of a recap for the people that haven't been following around with 8.3, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
clarify things like, the raid's coming out, or oh, here's a cinematic transitioning with 8.3, or
Mm-hmm.
here's what's up with Sylvanas, yeah, like stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm just wondering because I don't normally like study schedules beforehand, but I know that you keep track
Yeah.
of things, so I'm just like, okay, Perk, how am I supposed to think here? Is this normal? Should I expect this or should I expect this instead?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Working on my prediction skills. Maybe one day, one day I'll be as good as Perk. I'll be
Aw.
like, according to my last 2 years of experience studying schedules, I'll say with a 99% certainty that this panel will be about. No, but
Yeah.
it's interesting to think about, seeing patterns between different years and see what's going on.
Yeah, so my predictions would be Diablo 4,
Mm-hmm.
2, taking up at least 2 or 3 of the coming soons, Overwatch taking up one of the coming soons, and
Mm-hmm.
then WoW expansion being one, maybe two, or some sort of mobile, like WoW Pokemon Go type thing, maybe taking up one of the panels.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, maybe they
yeah.
thought that the Diablo mobile would also be more well received, not only with additional Diablo games like Diablo 2 or Diablo 4, but also with a WoW mobile game, like 2 mobile games in one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the pet battles would be really big because everyone has always asked for pet battles to be on mobile for years and years now.
Mm-hmm.
And Pokemon Go has been so popular, and that I feel that the WoW pet battle system could transition really well into that. And if it's the cartoony style of WoW really well, and there are so
Yeah.
many, cute characters like Pepe that
Mm-hmm.
could be used.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people are like, oh, Pokemon is so similar to pet battles, but like that didn't stop people from liking both of them. So I feel that
Mm-hmm.
they would try a mobile game. And there's been several other versions of Pokemon Go. Like I know there's a Harry Potter version of Pokemon Go. There's a lot of different types. So I feel like they would try that with WoW, and it would fit the cartoony style of all the cute pets.
I think it could definitely work, and especially in places where Pokemon Go is also very popular. So I feel like I kind of didn't realize that Pokemon Go was still so popular.
Oh,
Uh,
it's a thing. Yeah.
until I go to like American events like BlizzCon and whatnot, because then I see people like actually, go walking together and like trying to catch pets. I don't see it so much anymore near where I live. When Pokemon Go just came out, I saw kids on their phones like walking to the different stations and different gyms and all that around, like even where I live. But I don't see it so much anymore. But apparently it's still very big, and I can imagine maybe in Asia it's even bigger. So I could see how a pet battle system like a WoW Go would actually be very successful. So I can see it happening. I think it would probably be separate from World of Warcraft the game, which kind of makes me sad because the reason I wanted pet
Right.
battles on my phone for when I'm
Yeah, so you
outside.
can play on the go.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I could play on the go and also progress towards my achievements in the game. But with a separate game, then I won't be able to do that. I also read a comment in the chat saying, wait, what was it? How can I play WoW Go? I don't go outside. I have to farm neck levels. I think this kind of game will be perfect for those who have a school or a job where like they have to go outside on a daily basis.
Or like exercise. Like get your steps in, hatch your egg, get your,
I don't know.
hatch to
Maybe we're expecting a bit
grinding
too
the
much
calories.
there.
Yeah.
No,
No, well, I mean, the thing with Pokemon Go is that you have these eggs and you put incubators in them,
and then you have to
and
walk.
yeah, and like I know that if I hatch, one egg at a certain type per day,
Mm-hmm.
then I've gotten a good amount of steps in. Uh
Mm-hmm.
so there has to be something to make you want to, go out
Mm-hmm.
and move. And
Mm-hmm.
there's actually an event going on in the middle of BlizzCon with Pokemon Go, and it
Oh,
was the same
really?
thing last time too. It's like, oh, in the middle of Saturday, 3 hours to have this shiny Gengar spawn.
Yeah, because I
So
remember last time too you talked about
yeah,
it. Like all these people are
yeah,
going for a Pokemon thing, and I'm like, what?
yeah.
That's still a thing. That's crazy. So that's cool to see, and I'm sure Blizzard has also picked up on it. So it makes sense if they would make
Yeah,
something
and
like
it's
that.
positive social interactions too, because obviously you would be meeting other Blizzard fans
Yeah,
as you are
true.
trying to catch or battle for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's they want to have more opportunities for people to
Mm-hmm.
meet up face to face and have a positive interaction.
Mm-hmm. Another comment in the chat. What makes me want to move is avoiding getting very fat. Well, there you go. Then if you have this WoW Go game, then you have sort of an additional reason to walk outside, and having those kind of effects on people is always very positive. So Blizzard would probably like that kind of PR too. Having a game that's making people want to go outside. It's usually the opposite. Because I know with Pokemon Go, that was
Mhm.
huge. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
A game is making people walk outside? Like since when? So it's definitely a possible thing. And I was also thinking about people who go to school and go to work on a daily basis in the mornings and in the afternoons when you're walking to and from work. Then you could also, spend maybe 30 minutes walking around catching some Pokemon.
It's also really fun when you do meet up people at conventions because it's always like, oh, like you're from Canada. There's only a Pokemon that spawns in Canada. Let's do a trade and let's, be friends. And I could
Oh,
see
yeah.
Blizzard
Uh huh.
using BattleNet functionality to build out a friends list. And I could
Mm.
totally see them, spawning special Pokemon at events, like here's a Ragnaros at the convention center, everyone fight it, or oh, it's Wintervale, we're gonna have a, Yeti to fight it this time.
Mm hmm.
And yeah, I could see them doing that at various esports or Blizzard events or special holidays that are related to their other holidays going on
Mm
in
hmm.
games. As that's what Pokemon does. Like I remember even with was it E3? It was some convention in LA. They had the special Pokemon spawning if you were attending the convention. So even if you weren't there to, rep Pokemon Go, you were still discussing the game with everyone in the industry being like, "Oh, did you catch the special one yet?"
Mm hmm.
And that's very clever marketing.
Yeah, it
And
is.
I don't know, I could see Blizzard, wanting to do that. Like, oh, we're not at Gamescom, but
Mm hmm.
there's a special Pokemon in Germany, special Blizzard Pokemon in Germany randomly to catch.
Mm hmm.
So
Yeah, no,
plus, I know
definitely.
some of the devs that used to work on WoW, specifically Battle Pets. I think Polygon reported they were still working on WoW projects, but it was unannounced projects. And the logic is that if they were the ones who did the Battle Pet stuff originally, then they would want to be working on a,
The mobile version.
new Battle Pet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense. And
Yeah.
somebody in the chat was wondering like, where is this WoW Go talk from? Because he hasn't heard anything about this. I remember the phones that came out with the both the Alliance and the Horde art on them.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
where did it start from? Because I think there was something before that, even some kind of article that talked
Yeah.
about it.
So there was let me pull this up.
Mm-hmm.
Right after BlizzCon, Blizzard had a an article saying that there was more mobile games in development. This was at a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Do, do,
So that's like
where's
in addition to
yeah.
Diablo 2, basically.
Oh yeah,
That they're still working on
Kotaku.
something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kotaku was writing an article and they were focusing on Diablo, but then I'm quoting them. They said the
Mm-hmm.
natural extension for example, developers told me quite a few people at Blizzard play Pokemon Go, the massively popular mobile game that lets you use your phone's camera to catch wild creatures. Um, as one developer explained, the iconic orc statue in the center of Blizzard's campus is a Pokestop, and staff wage war over who gets to control the landmark on a daily basis. The natural extension of that was for one of Blizzard's incubation teams to develop a Warcraft version of Pokemon Go, which is in development for smartphones now. Surely it occurred to the decision makers at Blizzard that this Warcraft spin-off could be a massive revenue generator, but the game is also in production because lead designer Corey Stockton, formerly of World of Warcraft, is a huge fan of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey Stockton was sort of spearheaded working on the pet system in Mists of Pandaria, and having seen his office, I can vouch that it's like covered in like cute plushies and Pokemon type collectibles.
Uh-huh.
So that's where it came from last year. And then seeing how Riot announced multiple mobile games, and linking back to this announcement, that's how we're sort of speculating that Warcraft Grow would make a lot more sense than Diablo Immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Or it will be much better received at BlizzCon.
I think so too. And I don't think there's any other kind of WoW version that could be realistic on a mobile game. WoW is such a huge game. So having like a huge RPG is probably not in the works for WoW at the moment. But a WoW Go would make perfect sense for a part of the game that may not be super duper popular, like pet battles, to have a more home area in a way in the mobile world.
It could also be good for adults that now have young children that are fans of WoW. I mean, a lot of times with Pokemon Go, I see families with young kids that are playing together and they treat it like a family outing. So I could see Blizzard trying to tap into that demographic of families that don't have as much time for WoW, and maybe like WoW proper is too dark or grown up for their 5-year-old, but they can catch Pokemon in the park together. Or Blizzard Pokemon. I need to have another. I'm gonna keep calling them Pokemon, even though they're not Pokemon. Pepe is not a Pokemon.
I also hope that it'll have some playability, even if you're not moving. Because I was thinking of situations where you're just maybe in bed, or
oh yeah, no, you can totally play Pokemon Go in bed. They have this thing called incense, and you drop it down, and it just attracts Pokemon.
Okay.
Or if you're by a Pokestop, you can lure it, and the lure just brings a bunch of stuff to you.
Gotcha.
So
yes, I remember incense very vaguely. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was thinking sometimes you feel too tired to be on the PC. You just want to lay down. But you can't play WoW in game. I've tried on my laptop, but it's not very comfortable. Like my legs are burning like 10 minutes into the game because the laptop gets so hot. So it's not ideal. And playing with a mouse pad and everything is not very fun either. But having a different WoW game but on mobile could be interesting, hopefully. Hearthstone used to be my mobile game that I always played in bed, but I don't know. After all these years, I'm kind of tired of it, and
change of pace.
Yeah, like I feel like I started being so behind in everything to do with Hearthstone. It was hard to play casually in a way. So, and maybe it's just been so many years that you start getting a little bit bored of things. I still think Hearthstone is an amazing game. I've played the game a lot, but it's I don't know, just not for me right now. So I am on the lookout for a new mobile game, to just have something to play in bed. I mean,
yeah,
I think that could be nice.
Yeah, so why don't we briefly talk about the floor plan? Usually we get some hints about the convention from the floor plan, but I don't think there's too much this time. But it's just good to look over it quickly and see if there's anything we can think of. So what stands out to me looking at this is Hall E, which is usually where they do the shopping, is now the Blizzard Arcade, and you can play a bunch of old school games. Which
Mm-hmm.
makes me think that they're going to be doing more like Diablo 2. They actually say that there's a Diablo demo and a Diablo 2 demo, and I feel like it's going to be remastered in some way.
Oh, wait,
um
it says that for the arcade area?
yeah, so normally they don't have all
Mm.
these old school games, but I feel like if they're going to have a whole hall devoted to old school games, they're going to be
Yeah.
announcing another
It
remaster.
fits the pattern so much. Warcraft 3, WoW Classic, then Diablo 2.
StarCraft remastered.
There you go. Yeah. It's like we're
So,
going back to our roots, guys. So go to the
yep,
arcade and enjoy all the old games. And soon you'll play them, but the remastered versions.
yep. Brightpaw just closed my notes. No, there we go. We're good. um,
Wait, is it
Brightpaw,
is
don't
it
move
true?
Discord.
Is it true that the WoW, not the WoW, sorry, the Diablo demo area was outside Hall D last year? Because now there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's nothing there, so that's interesting. Um, I don't know if there's space for a demo because Hall D is the mythic stage, and you need to have people being able to move in and out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But if they had it
but
last year,
yeah, I could see that going there.
well, the
Yeah.
Warcraft, Hearthstone, Overwatch, and then possibly
Yeah,
Diablo.
empty space. Yeah.
Empty space, yeah.
What was interesting though is I didn't see any new statues announced, and normally they announce there's a statue on the floor plan that kind of hints at where things are going. Like the Sylvanas statue was on the floor plan, and that was the year BFA was announced. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
don't see any new statues. Come to think of it, I think they might even be leaving some statues out because I don't see Illidan listed here either, and he's usually very
Mm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, another thing that stood out. So we've got the portal pass on the third floor. That's new.
What is Portal
Um,
Pass?
oh, it's if you paid extra to attend BlizzCon.
Oh.
And you get like access on Thursday night to see stuff, and there's a special lounge that you can hang out in.
Oh,
I
okay.
guess it's that. Um, Dark Moon Fair, same as usual. Um, the store is now the North Hall level 1, and the store used to be in Hall E. And the other interesting thing is that the Sheridan parking lot is now where you pick up your BlizzCon pass as opposed to Hall E. So
Oh, so you pick it up outside.
yeah, and they apparently even have a different booth for Overwatch League gear in the parking lot as well.
Oh,
So yeah, all
interesting.
that.
Does that mean that it's bigger? That there's more things? That
Yeah,
they had to move things outside?
yeah. That's what it definitely seems like.
Okay.
Registration took up nearly all of a hall, and now that's outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it makes
So
sense if the whole old school arcade is taking over a whole hall.
yeah, I also don't see any mention of the Hearthstone Tavern, so I'm not sure if they're doing that again. But the old school
Oh,
arcade might be
those
in
were so
place of that.
cozy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they had so many staffing changes this year. I feel like Hearthstone is a bit like
Yeah.
short staffed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, why don't we talk about some things at the Dark Moon Fair a little bit more? Some of the collectibles you can get.
Wait, so
Like
someone pointed out, did you say the Hearthstone Tavern doesn't exist?
I thought it didn't, or
Because,
did I
yeah, he
miss
pointed out
something?
there actually is one between the demo and the Hearthstone stage, like near Hall B.
Oh well, that's much smaller than
Okay.
Tavern and Pasture. Like in
Because it
Pastures,
used to
it
be a
was
whole like room, right?
yeah. So I mean, it's nice that they kept the vibe of it, but yeah, it is a bit smaller than
Mm-hmm.
the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was good to know they didn't totally get rid of it, but it
Yeah.
does seem smaller than
Yeah,
last year.
definitely less things put into that for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we talk about collectibles and then the BlizzCon sale, and
Yeah.
then we can open some of this box.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, we got a bunch
some of
of
the
pins here. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So Blizzard always does pins each year. And some of the ones we wanted to highlight are they do their usual season 6 pins, but there are 4 new collector's edition pins, including an Ash from Overwatch pin, 8-bit Heroes pins, again, nostalgia.
8-bit.
The
Yeah,
classic,
good point. Nostalgia again.
more nostalgia, the classic card back from Hearthstone,
Mm-hmm.
and the 15th anniversary WoW pin.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a special 5th anniversary logo pin and pin training lanyard. And because you celebrate a sword when you are at Blizzard for 5 years, the little Murloc now has a sword, the merchandise icon. So that's cute how that's leveled up
Oh.
too.
Oh, yeah,
And
see it. That's so
yeah,
cute. Has a sword.
yeah. And I think the interesting thing is that they're doing like mystery boxes that will contain like one plush, one, in-game mount or pet, one coloring book, and everyone is guaranteed to get a golden patina Sylvanas Funko Pop. And that is exclusive to people who purchase these loot boxes.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a little interesting because she's wearing her old armor, I think, if I look closely enough. I mean, hard to say because obviously they have very different proportions.
Yeah.
But I'm
Why no
curious to see where the
Anduin?
story's. Yeah, I'm curious to see where the story is going to go because Sylvanas is not really well liked right now by many
Mm-hmm.
people, and just killed Sourfang, and I don't know if I want to be like, yeah, give me more Sylvanas right now.
Do you think there's
um,
gonna be things that happen in the unveiling of things into the next expansion that might make us like Sylvanas
yeah,
again?
hopefully. Like
Maybe.
maybe she's worried that the Lich King is being corrupt, so she wants to take him over. I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of negativity in BFA about her.
Yeah, maybe not
So
liked is a bit harsh, but she's definitely disliked by a lot of people, both in the Alliance, which I guess is obvious, and in
yeah,
the Horde. So there's
she's
there's a huge
she's
conflict
very
within the
polarized.
Horde.
She's very polarizing.
Yeah.
Well, if someone had a picture of Sourfang, people be like, "Yeah, Sourfang!" Like Orc who protected Orgrimmar, like, or Thrall. Everyone loves Thrall. When you see Sylvanas, people are like, uh, I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely still loyal people who love her, and there's a lot of people who feel disappointed, and there's some people who feel angry. So it's a lot of
Yeah,
different feelings there. Um, so it's definitely not like you said, a clear shot of oh everyone loves this character,
right.
which might have been the case for like Surfing, for example. But
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see why she was chosen as the golden Funko Pop.
yeah. So, as we're going to talk about the store now, which is sort of where all these leak problems stem from earlier today. But Blizzard is also selling merchandise that is unrelated to any leaks, and they just put up a bunch more with the Blink shopping. So maybe we can highlight some of the interesting items that are on sale and some of the new ones that came out just earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I thought stood out was the classic mug that has Ragnaros on it, and then the ugly Lich King and Diablo sweaters. That's what I thought was cool in the first wave of stuff. And if you don't have a virtual ticket or you're not attending BlizzCon, you can just buy these online. So you can get all the stuff we're talking about now.
Yeah, the Lich King sweater looks really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I like it.
Um.
What else do we have here? I think we have we have this. We have a going slideshow so you can see all the different things.
Yeah.
Somehow I did not even notice that you were wearing the Murloc onesies. Yeah, we're matching each other today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the backpacks, Horde, and Alliance. Let me make this go a bit faster. There's an Overwatch. What would this be called? A jacket?
Yeah, I think a jacket is it. And Holly, this
The
is the all
BlizzCon
access
cups.
sale. Yeah, I think I got some of that in here. We'll see.
Oh. And then we have some things from the what do they call it? From the Blink?
Yeah, so Blink Shopping is basically where if you are attending the convention, you can place an order now and then pick it up in person, cut down on the
Mm.
lines when the convention actually hits.
Okay.
And I believe that right now you need to be attending the convention in order to get some of this stuff.
Okay, so there's
So
no other
this
way
is
to get
different,
them.
right? I think some of these do go on sale afterwards, but it's not a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So out of these, there are skateboard decals for like Deathwing and the Lich King and Illidan, which the art looks pretty cool on them, actually.
Yeah. Even more Lich King things.
Yep.
In
What
case
I thought
anyone
was
was
interesting.
still in case anyone was still not sure whether the Lich King stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more signs of it. And
There's
go
a
ahead.
special BlizzCon t-shirt and it's all colorful, but on the t-shirt they had to remove some of the colors and they went with a blue and gray tint, which oh look, is icy like the Lich King as well.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, going through this slideshow, we've got the Ashara and Lich King metal magnet set, and you might be like, "Oh, I thought Ashara was done with," but we'll get to Ashara later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because even she has updates. But yeah, interesting pairing of both of them.
Yep.
We have a N'Zoth shirt, N'Zoth the Corruptor.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very badass. We have a Sylvanas backpack, so I hope she is redeeming herself because it's a cool backpack and I don't think other WoW characters are getting backpacks. We have the infamous Onyxia print, which is what led to people hunting down the Lich King print.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've got a very dramatic looking Arthas in Stratholme mousepad for Warcraft Reforged. And a hoodie. You do have stuff from the company Wild Bangarang because they just made an Overwatch Witch Mercy dress, and I feel that's going to be very popular because everyone loves that skin.
Uh-huh.
There's a really warm-looking Hearthstone bathrobe, like pajama type thing, which is cute.
Oh, there's some of these that I couldn't see before. Actually, I just realized now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can go ahead.
Let's see. Where is it? Oh, it's gonna be hard to move, but basically there's a Diablo
the bag is so cute.
Yeah.
It's actually so cute. And it matches together with the Sylvanas hoodie that they have.
Yeah, the hoodie as well as the zip up. So they all match, which is neat.
Okay, I didn't see these before. For some reason the website cuts it for me. I don't know if it's...
Oh.
I'll show you later.
Wowhead?
Yeah, I don't know if
Wowhead?
it might be my browser. Yeah, I'll show you later.
Maybe.
In case it's a common thing. But yeah, let me show you guys. We have a few more things. Because you were talking about some of the things and I was like, I didn't see this. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. Sorry.
No, don't be. I'm the one who missed it. But yeah, there's more stuff. There's more stuff. That's cool. Let's see if I can speed this up a little bit. So after this... No, it's doing the same thing now.
Oh no. Do you want me to give you images of some of these? I can just link them to you in the notes.
No, I got them. I just have to add the folder again so that it recognizes that I've added a few more things in there. There you go. Okay, now I should show. Yeah, you saw the Deathwing board for just a moment there. So once we get through this one and the N'Zoth t-shirt, you should see some new things.
Yeah. I have a bright paw as well.
There we go. Oh no, it restarted. Oh my god. But yeah, that's cool. So there's even a few more things. We'll let the slideshow go as you can see more items. But apparently, so these are the things that will only be available for people who order and then pick it up at the spot, right?
Yeah. And some of these may make it to the shop in the future, but right now, these are just for the attendees. Of course, if you're going, you can always buy it for your friend. So why don't
Good to
we
know. Mm-hmm.
open up this box of stuff and see what else is in here?
Yes. Oh, that's
For
the bag, by the
disclosure,
way.
yeah, this was sent to me by Blizzard and this. So I did not buy these myself, but we've got this box. I'm sure Brightpaw's going to jump into it very soon. And let's watch me fail at opening things like this mug. So this is the BlizzCon key art mug. And yeah, so
yeah, those are the mugs. Cool.
yeah. So we've got Tracer, and we've got Sylvanas. And then we've got the logo at the bottom of it. It's a pretty big mug. It's taller than the other one, so
yeah.
Here they are, size comparison.
Cool.
And the box is really sturdy as well. There's lots of packaging in it, so you should be able to, pack this and not have to worry about the mug being wrecked in transit. And let's see what's next. Oh, we've got a Fire Lord. Yeah, gaming desk mat.
Cool. Yeah, those are the big ones, right? Covering the keyboard and the mouse.
Yeah, right now I've got an Illidan one that I'm using. Oh my god, why can't I? I need a scissor. 1 sec. There we go. Right, Paul, why are you in the way? Alright, so let's open this up and just see how big it is compared to my head. It's probably gonna be as tall as I am. Alright, got it out, and we're going to...
There it is. So that's the mouse pad that is being sold in the store.
So this is the mouse pad, and they've also... This is the classic one, but they also have mouse pads for Warcraft Reforged, and probably an Overwatch one. If I had to guess, also the one with the Boulder art. But this is the classic one. It's the cool art that people have been seeing throughout WoW Classic's history.
Yeah, it is huge. So, it's one that's supposed to cover both your keyboard and your mouse. And no, this is not the box that you get for attending. This is a box specially just sent to Perk, because she is our special Perk, who is nice enough to show us everything that is available. Yep. So this was just like a special you got the Alliance one.
Yeah, got the Alliance backpack. So let's see so we've got this backpack. Oh, it's got lots of straps. So if we look this way, we've got the lion on it.
Detail there too.
Yeah, there's tons of detail on this, and this is adjustable, of course. We've got it opens this way. So we've got one big compartment there. And then
that's perfect for like a laptop or something.
Yeah, then we've got another side compartment here. We've got another zipper here. And then we've got 2 side compartments, and then we've got...
Brightpaw is like, oh, is that something I can climb into?
Yeah, he's going to be doing that very soon. We've got a bunch of front pockets. I feel like... Oh, we've got... This is interesting. Oh, hi. So they've got the Alliance logo opens up, and then inside here, we've got a hook thing. We've got one compartment here maybe for a cell phone. We've got another compartment here that goes all the way down. And we even have another zippered compartment too. So many
of small pockets.
Yeah. I don't know what this is meant to be, if it's for a phone, but I can barely fit my hand in it. But yeah, lots of pockets, and then also has maybe you're meant to hang patches and stuff from it, these metal things on the side. So yeah, big Alliance backpack. No, Brightpaw, don't eat the mat. Yep, he's eating the mat. And let's see. Oh yeah, then we also have... We've got this, which seems to have a lot of little things in it. And...
Pins?
Open it. Yeah, I think there's like a pin and a patch. I can figure out how to. There we go. So, we've got quite a few things in here. We've got the BlizzCon 2019 Collectible Pin.
Ah,
which is, part of the official series. We have 3 badge boosters. Let's see what we got. We have we've got, let's see. We have I think this is meant to be Anduin. And the other half is Sylvanas, which we don't have. We have I think this is meant to be Diablo, but it could also kind of Lich King theme too. And then Hearthstone Year of the Dragon patch. So we got those
one
3.
Of each game.
Yeah.
Oh, people saying Leoric.
Oh yeah, that could be him. It's just funny how you're like, oh, a guy with long hair and a crown. I wonder what this could be. And then we've got the pin, and let's see who we got. They purposely do it so you can't like guess. They don't have it on the outside. Oh, we have a Noyatron. So
we got a funny one. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we got from my bag of stuff, and I'm excited. Thank you so much, Blizzard, for sending that over, and I'll definitely be looking into other things like the Sylvanas bag with the Blink shopping. So we're gonna put them back there. Brightpaw's gonna be on this in 2 seconds, I can tell.
Yeah, he's like, wait, let me get in the box first, and then you can close it. Don't close it yet. That's cool. That's cool. And you got the Murloc onesie as well, right? That was also
the Murloc onesie was in the box as well. So I opened it right before the show, and I'm like, I have to put it on and wear this during the show. And I'm glad I did. And then you were inspired to put your onesie on as well.
I was like, hold on, I have a Murloc onesie as well. It's the last year's version, but I think that's cool anyways. So I've got the green version, and she's wearing the red version.
Yeah.
I think green probably looks better with my red hair anyways. It would be too much red otherwise. Yeah.
They also have the red Murloc slippers and a red Murloc plushie on sale as well.
Yeah, I need to get that red onesie once I get there, though, at BlizzCon.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the notes, and we were going to discuss BlizzCon predictions, but we sort of did that with the coming soon parts of the schedule. Was there anything else you wanted to mention that you think we didn't cover?
No, I feel like we covered everything, unless there's something more you want to say about Overwatch 2, because that one was mostly just mentioned. But I feel pretty good. I think we talked about most of it.
I would just say the only thing I would think of was they would announce when the next Classic phase is coming, as well as the Reforged release date. And we were data mining things pointing towards skins coming to Reforged, and that hasn't been officially announced yet as part of the collector's edition. So I think that would be on the way, and maybe they would be announcing the skins from other sources or some sort of shop or other collector edition. So,
do you think any of the games announced will be like, oh, this is available right now for everyone?
Maybe the mobile game. Like, I could see if there was a Warcraft version of Pokemon Go, how I could see them be like, oh, you can play this from your app right now for a few days,
like a
similar
beta version?
to
like a demo.
Similar to how League, when they did like the Runeterra game, they were like, oh, you can play this for a little bit, and now we're gonna go back in testing. So I could see them doing that. But yeah, before we move on to 8.3, we just also wanted to tell you that Wowhead is working with Calm Before the Storm this year to throw a huge party the night before BlizzCon on October 31st. And we know it's Halloween, but we really appreciate you're choosing to spend Halloween with us, so we're really grateful with anyone that wants to attend. And we will both be involved in different ways during the actual party. So I will be participating in one of the general Blizzard and prediction panels, and you will be hosting the panels and doing giveaways and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
also the meet and greet. So
Yes, yes. So you guys will find us over there if you decide to
yeah,
join us, which I think you should, because why not? It's the
yeah.
day before BlizzCon, and it's going to be at the Hilton Hotel, right?
Yeah, it's the second floor, and if you've attended Wowhead parties in the past, it's that same area, except we have the entire half of the Hilton now, as opposed to like, it's such funny. Like the Common for the Storm, they'd always get the really good front room, and then Wowhead would get more of the rooms, but the back rooms. So it's like, why don't we just work together
Combine.
and
Yeah.
we'll just like have the same party for all the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing it that year. We're doing it this way this year. There's more of an emphasis on like community activities for the people that attended and backed the party.
Mm-hmm.
So, like backers get to spin the prize wheel. The meet and greet has a ton of space. There's a photo booth. There is not going to be a DJ this year, and as many like neon light things, just because we want to focus on a few things and do it well. And our roots were a community, and we want to have people meet up with their friends. And if we start trying to be like, well, let's do a nightclub and compete with Twitch's budget for nightclub dark theme parties, we're going to be spreading ourselves really thin, especially with so many coming soon panels that the same staff has to work on. So we think that partnering with the other community organization to throw a big social party with lots of activities is the way to go this year. And we're having fun, so maybe we'll do it again in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Does that mean that we're not gonna have like a party vibe going? It's gonna be more like a community vibe going.
Oh, I mean, like it definitely is a party. It's just not as like here's a
Not as
dance floor.
nightclubby. Yeah.
Yeah, it's less like you can hear everyone talk.
Yeah.
Is more like it. And
honestly, that's also
be...
nice a lot of times. Like sometimes that's one of the major mistakes that Twitch makes, especially when a party is early. It's like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m.
Right.
and it's like pitch dark and super loud music, can't hear anyone, and you haven't had a drink yet either. So like no one's loose enough to go and like start dancing.
Yeah,
it's like
I mean,
one person on the dance floor. Yeah.
The party starts at 5:30 p.m. So it's like you don't really want to be drinking then. Plus, sometimes when you have the music really loud with the DJ, you also can't like you were trying to have panels and it's like, well, I can't hear this person talking about the MDI because I've got the DJ blaring in my ear.
Yeah.
And like like so many people are trying to they've got to work at BlizzCon the next day, like so many streamers such as yourself. The Wowhead team has to do stuff. A lot of people have stuff to do and no one wants to be like totally out of it right when BlizzCon has just started. So
yep.
But yeah, we're still doing lots of things, so it should be fun. The party is still free, but if you did back the party in advance,
is that knocking?
Yeah, someone keeps knocking at my door and I'm dressed like this.
I think that's a great way to say hello to people.
Yeah. So should I would they stop knocking? Are they there?
I don't know, like how important can it be? Like, is it possible that it's a friend?
No.
No.
That sounded really sad. I don't know. I'm concerned it could be something, but I don't have anything planned. Like the Blizzard box already came in.
Yeah.
So
okay. So no more deliveries.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I ordered a dress last week, but they usually don't knock, 10 times. So
it's a good point. It is close to Halloween, so the person has probably seen weirder looking things.
Do you want me to go and like just like
if they knock again, third time's a charm.
Okay, if they knock again.
I mean, that's what I feel like. Yeah, I would go on the third time. Actually, I would probably not go if I'm not expecting anyone.
Yeah,
because usually it's about like when people come knock on my door, it's like selling some kind of new electricity contract thing, like, oh, our deal is so much better, or it's some kind of religious drive trying to recruit people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I normally just don't open because it's annoying having to tell people no, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, if they knock again, I'll get the door.
Yeah. If it happens a third time, You can go for it and tell us the story of how you opened the door looking like a Murloc.
Yeah.
And also
I
tell
also
us
don't
if
have
you
any.
talk like a Murloc.
I don't have any messages on my phone where someone is like, "Hello, I'm outside. Let me in." So
Yeah, that's a good one that you checked your phone. That's actually smart.
yeah. All right. So, we should thank new subs, and then we should talk about some of the remaining 8.3 stuff that we didn't cover unrelated to Death Knights.
Yes, let's do that. We have Lincoln82 with his 22-month resub. Thank you very, very much, Lincoln, for supporting. Oh, I just saw Brightpaw pass by.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Lincoln. That's almost 2 years of supporting Wowhead, so thank you. Then we have the Blazon Raisin also subscribing with a Prime sub, and Zinix23 who also just subscribed in the chat as well.
Awesome.
So thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And before we go on, I want to take this question because it was relevant to what we were talking about the Wowhead party. The question is, do we need a ticket or something for the Wowhead party?
You don't need a ticket to attend. There are some special bundles that were available just for Kickstarter backers that people cannot get, but that should not affect you getting into the party or getting drinks. There's also no VIP area this year, so you don't have to worry about, did I get into the right line or anything. It's just, it's just a free party for everyone.
Okay.
We felt like people were getting hurt feelings with the VIP, and it was getting very stressful to basically run a VIP only party with a community party and then like a nightclub party at the exact same time. And a VIP small party is a big undertaking just by itself. So we didn't want someone to be late and then there's, hurt feelings that, this person didn't get in, and there's so many factors involved with that. So we just tried to focus on like everyone gets to hang out. You don't even need a BlizzCon ticket to attend. And I think it's a good change, especially with the Portal Pass kind of, separating people more. So we want to just be like, you don't need to pay anything. You can just attend. Everyone is equal here.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. It's going to be nice to see how it all pans out. But yeah, so there you go. Yep. You just arrive and show up, and then you should be in. And as we were talking about the subs, we also had Algaron32 who also subbed with a Prime sub. So thank you and welcome. Yeah. Feel free to use the emotes. We have one of me and Perk. And Brightpaw.
And Brightpaw, yes. Who has made an appearance again.
But yeah, let's jump into 8.3 PTR. Actually, we just had another sub.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you, guys. That became a little sub train. Thank you. Sabrilla also subscribing. Thank you for supporting. But yes, 8.3 PTR. Why don't you introduce us to corruption? What is corruption? What is this new system? Is it good? Is it bad?
It's a new system that appeared on the PTR without any fanfare or explanations. And then Blizzard released a post being like, oh, we're actually going to change some parts of it. But basically, it's a system that replaces the Titanforge system for Season 4 content. And it's themed around items giving you benefits, but also some drawbacks. And if you have too many corrupted items, your character can get very sick and have some drawbacks to it. So I'm gonna read what Ian said about it because the system sort of was introduced in bits and pieces and it confused people. So Ian said that a corrupted item has a powerful beneficial property similar to the benthic effects seen in Nazjatar, but has a new detrimental stat called corruption. Items can have varying levels of corruption, with the amount of corruption present correlating directly with the power of the beneficial upside. For example, you can get 4% critical strike and 10 corruption, or 6% critical strike with 15 corruption. Now, this seemed interesting, but there's a lot of RNG involved in it because you want a certain beneficial effect. You don't want it to have a ton of corruption. You want it to have the right stats. Maybe it can have a socket on it. And Blizzard announced that based on feedback, instead of having corruption be in a range, it could be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, it will just have like a low level, a mid level, and a high level to reduce some of the RNG.
Okay.
And non-season 4 content will still Warforge and Titanforge up to a maximum cap of item level 55, but it won't be part of the corruption system.
Non-season 4 content, what does that mean?
Like, I think world quests, or crafted gear, stuff like that. But I assume Mythic Plus raids and PvP
We'll
would all
all
be,
have.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like it, you can purify the item at the Heart Forge.
Okay. And what does purifying mean?
You get rid of the beneficial and harmful effects. So it's just an item.
Okay.
And corruption is not a permanent addition to WoW. So that makes me think that in addition to having the seasonal themed armor sets and the Mythic Plus affix, that we're also going to see more of these in the future. Like I would, almost like it's like a season in Diablo or something like that, kind of in that style, which I don't know if that works exactly for WoW, but I can see why they want to try out these different types of thematic items related to each raid, especially how they're moving away from, patch this, patch 8.1, patch 8.2 into like, Ashara content update, like N'Zoth's themed content update. I can see why they want the gear to more, I don't know, thematically reflect the big bad in that expansion.
And from what Ian said, correct me if I'm wrong, does this mean that corruption is static depending on how much power you get? Like how much of the positive effect you have, your corruption will be accordingly?
Yeah.
So if you
Right.
roll high on the beneficial thing, you will roll high corruption at the same time.
Right. But before it used to be in a range, so people were like, oh, I hope I get,
like a high
best...
stat and low corruption.
Yeah, high stat and the lowest possible corruption that goes along with that stat.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually a lot better. It makes it less RNG. Because at first I was skeptical, like, yeah, sure, nice that Titan Forging is gone, but like now we have a different system. I'm not really sure if this is going to be better. But at least making that static does help towards it.
Yeah. And if you're like, oh, well, I'm going to be like, what's the point of all these items? I can't equip more of them. The legendary cloak that you get when you do the Rathian questline will negate some of the corruption effects, and it can upgraded to provide a ward against even more corruption. So the idea is that as you keep getting better at the horrific vision and you keep powering up your legendary cloak,
you can handle more corruption.
You can handle more corruption items.
Okay.
So
yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I'm guessing, I don't know why, but Blizzard really likes the idea of Titan Forge and giving people a reason to repeat content to try and get a better item, which isn't really a way to grind in your own way. It's just repeat, and hope for the best. Do they still roll sockets?
I think so. The system's pretty new, but I believe they can. So obviously, when the system first went live on the PTR, and it's like, oh, you have to roll the beneficial amount, and then the range of corruption, and then like there's so many different components that I don't know. I just wish they made the blue post before they threw the system up onto the PTR at 10 p.m. because no one's gonna do in-depth testing at 10 p.m. So
yeah. I don't know, because I really miss the idea of farming for an item in a realistic manner, realistic manner, and actually being able to get it. Something that we have sort of experienced again with Classic, but which is not really possible on retail with Titan Forging, with possible slots and whatnot. And this corruption system, the reason why I'm happy it's happening is because it means that Blizzard knows that we're not happy with Titan Forging, but they're trying to try something else to see if maybe this is better. I don't know if it's going to be better. I would prefer if Titan Forging was just straight up removed, but at least this means that they're thinking about it.
Yeah, also, I mean, they can see the success of WoW Classic and see how popular things are. For example, like, it was really popular at launch, but or if they're looking at analytics, like, did stuff really drop off? And then they could say, okay, well, everyone likes this idea of best in slot, but do they stop playing really quickly? Or maybe they don't. Maybe they're like, wow, people love best in slot and they play the game forever. That's better. I mean, there's pros and cons, because if you don't get your best in slot, you don't want to feel that you can never do well in a raid. You don't want to be like, oh, I don't have this amazing shield, so therefore I can't tank on this character. So I don't know. I do feel like they are getting some valuable data from WoW Classic, though, and hopefully that does inform what they are doing with Loot moving forward to, I don't know, get the best of both worlds.
I really hope so. I mean, I don't know if it's a small percentage of players, but I know with myself, for example, I have zero interest in mythic raiding, for example, because I feel like putting in that hard work doesn't really reward me in terms of gear. And I know some people say, like, well, like, at least with Titan Forging, there's reason to repeat content, but I feel like there was always reason to complete content because there's a lot of different slots that you have to fill. Surely you won't get all of the different slots in like a week or two. There's gonna be a long time of farming all of it. And if anything, instead of Titan Forging, just reduce the amount of loot per boss. As well. I feel like that's more interesting playability than the possibility of Titan Forging because you can never reach an end with it.
Right. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel satisfying. Like people like feeling like they're done with one thing and they can focus on other parts of the game. Or, I'm in the best possible thing. I can, do really awesome DPS and, PvP or start working on records in a raid. And you think about the loot more when it's like, I really want to farm, the Dragon Spine trophy as opposed to like, oh, well, there are 4 trinkets and whichever one procs Titan Forging is the one I will use because item level negates all interesting quirks an item might have.
And also, I feel like I don't believe in people just casually getting best in slot in everything and quitting the game. I mean, maybe it happens, but I feel like when I think back at old raiding, whenever somebody had best in slot, it was a big deal. And if they had it, they didn't just randomly like quit the game. A lot of times people wait until they have best in slot for trying to push logs and trying to get on top of the top lists in that sense. And not everyone were able to reach it either because not everyone is clearing mythic all bosses every single week either. Like a lot of times we have until the end of the tier and most guilds still haven't cleared the raid. So if you put items behind the last boss of a mythic raid that people are interested in, they're gonna keep going. So, and I mean, sure, you're gonna be close to BIS maybe, but you won't necessarily easily get it as a casual player. So I think there's still gonna be reasons to play. I mean, there might be less reasons to play normal and LFR, but like, is that a problem? I don't think that's a problem. I don't think we need more reasons to play easy content.
Right, and even the people in normal and LFR, they might be more excited by this loot, how it's not just like, it's like, oh, well, this has an interesting effect that I might try out, which they didn't think about before, as opposed to just like, oh, item level Titan Forging. Now it might be, oh, well, the item level's not going up, but I got a bunch of crit, and I really like crit, or I got this other stat that I really like.
Like, I think the last time that I remember having best in slot gear was at the end of Cataclysm, during Dragon Soul, and I was one of the few people who had it because there were still certain rare items. Like I remember the ring Infinite Loop specifically being so rare, like a drop from multiple bosses, that not everyone were able to get it. So having best in slot was not something that every person had. So I don't understand the argument of but if there's no Titan Forging, there's no reason to grind. Even towards the end, like my guild wasn't super hardcore, but we were clearing all bosses on at the time.
Right, and heroic. People also want to do stuff on alts as well. So it's like, can't you then just grind on your alts? Like everyone complains that things are, not alt friendly, or that the grind is so much on the main. It's like, well, it's not bad if you finish best in slot on one character and you try to work on it for another.
I mean, yeah, that's true as well. I just also just don't believe that there's that many people who reach best in slot. I feel like it's a wrong argument to make.
Right.
I think it still takes time to get there if your guild isn't clearing mythic weekly.
Yeah. So, I wonder if they're going to talk about this more at BlizzCon. I don't think they get into the nitty-gritty of corruption, but if they have this idea of seasons, it could be something interesting like, oh, there's the corrupted affix and corrupted gear, and, we're going to extend this. We're in 9.0. We're going to have, I don't know, like a Lich King type of gear. Like maybe they would announce something like that. Like maybe they would preview a few different types of thematic gear. Like maybe one I don't know, month we have Sylvanas gear, another month we have, I don't know, Bulvar gear or something like that.
And I can see Brightpaw's tail making a show.
Brightpaw, what are you doing? Oh no,
Aww.
you nearly fell. Don't fall, baby.
Poor Brightpaw. But yeah,
I was trying to drink
really
my water. No, Brightpaw.
I think I can get like pretty passionate about this thing because I feel like the whole Titan forging, Thunder forging, War forging, everything is what killed raiding for me, and I think for a lot of other people too, because I don't feel like gear is cool anymore.
Right, like it's interchangeable. You don't really like. I used to be able to name every best in slot item I would get, and now it's just like
I have no idea. Like, what trinkets exist? I have no idea. Whereas in the past, it was like raid comes out, the first thing you check, what are the trinkets available? What effects do they have? Because trinkets are usually very interesting items.
right.
And now it's like, no point, because I can probably find something better in the Mythic Plus.
Or it's like, oh well, this would be an interesting proc, but if the boring trinket Titan Forge is much higher, I'll use that instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, well, I was gonna say on a lighter note, but actually, right, Paw, no, don't play with the patches. On a lighter note, which actually is a very heated discussion, the Alliance leaders have returned to the Stormwind Embassy on the 8.3 PTR, and you may remember they went away when things were getting pretty dark for the Alliance, and they're back, and they all have different perspectives on the conflict, which could pave the way for more conflict in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So we could highlight a few of these. Like I think the ones that were the most controversial were Tyrande and the Dark Iron Dwarves.
Let's get the Tyrande quote up.
Yeah.
Here. Wait. No, this is actually not Tyrande. Okay, I need to double check. But you can talk about the Tyrande one as I make sure I get the correct one.
So she's back in Stormwind, and she says, I will not stand idle while Sylvanas roams free and the crimes against my people remain unpunished. Which is, I mean, she does have a point. Everyone is all, you know,
there it is,
praising Sourfang, and, you know, like, he's getting a, you know, big funeral, and like it's no one is thinking about, everyone's like, how do we have Orgrimmar rebuild, and no one is like, what do we do with the Night Elf refugees? Like, they're just sort of forgotten. So and then Chandris is like, although the Kaldori suffered greatly in this war, it is time for us to heal and rebuild. We can still look to the future without forgetting the past. So it's just interesting because, I mean, that sounds very noble of Chandris, but like, what? How are they rebuilding with the future besides just saying, oh yeah, we love all, you know, orcs and everything's wonderful? How are they actually rebuilding and helping the Night Elf? Like, we don't really see any dialogue about this. And then if we go to the dwarves, Muradin, like, they're sort of skeptical of this, but they're less pessimistic. Muradin's just like, peace with the Horde. I'd be lying if I told you that I trust them after all they've done. But who knows? Maybe with the Banshee Queen gone, they'll finally be able to live peacefully. And if they do go back to their old ways, the Bronzebeard clan will be here to put them in their place. So he's kind of skeptical, but it's like, hey, at least we're not fighting right now. But Mora is interesting because she says, the Alliance and Horde have both suffered terrible in this war, and mistakes were surely made on both sides. What matters now is how we move forward. Do we learn something from all the bloodshed and loss, or do we keep repeating the past? And this led to a lot of discussion because everyone's like, well, you know, Sylvanas burned down the tree. Why is Mora trying to, you know, make it seem like the Alliance did something
like equally bad?
But you have to remember, her position was someone that was, you know, estranged from her father, and she always felt that she wasn't good enough or she couldn't rule. And then she, you know, went off to Blackrock Depths, and then her father sent us off on a rescue mission, but she was doing perfectly fine, and then we ended up killing her husband. And she's had a lot of turmoil, and she, you know, she's working with Anduin now, but she knows that the Alliance can do hurtful, unthinking things as well. So maybe she's biased by her personal history, or maybe she's also thinking about how, you know, her husband was killed in Blackrock Depths, and she's thinking about someone like Talanji, whose father was killed by the Alliance in the Battle of Dazar Alor. And that, I mean, it wasn't as as bad as Teldrassil, but it still was us, the Alliance, attacking a city, and it didn't really make any sense why they thought that if they, you know, beat up the Horde enough, they'd join the Alliance, and they seemed dismayed. They killed Rastakhan, and she does have a point that was not a shining moment for the Alliance. But obviously there was a lot of people upset, being like, why isn't Mora thinking about Teldrassil, and like a whole race of people wiped out? No one's done as, the Alliance did not go as far as that. So yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, a lot of people are curious if this is going to set up further divisions with the Alliance, with those that are willing to try peace versus those who think that this isn't enough, and they'll be taken advantage of more in the future.
Especially because it seems like the Alliance people who are not happy, for example, Tyrande, what they specifically are after is some kind of revenge against Sylvanas. And based on what we know or are predicting about 8.3 and the new expansion, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Right. And there's also a sense that if you're fixated on revenge for one thing, it never lives up to what you want it to be. Like, even when, going back to Sylvanas, when the Lich King was defeated, she just felt empty, and that's why she tried to commit suicide at the end of the short story Edge of Night. Like, after all these years of wanting revenge against Arthas, she just felt like she had no purpose. So I feel like if they just are focused on revenge, if Sylvanas is out of the picture, then it'd be like, now what? We're still angry. What comes now?
Yeah, because it doesn't bring everything back. It doesn't undo what she did.
Right. So yeah, for the next topic, do we need to put a spoiler tag up? I'm not sure.
Since we're discussing the encounter specific details of it, maybe we should, to be sure.
Yeah.
In case there's anyone who doesn't want to be spoiled.
I was surprised by it, and I couldn't figure it out from the broadcast text. And usually we if it's broadcast text, that's already a spoiler. So.
So I'll put the tag up if you're wondering what kind of spoilers it is. It's a specific lore details that happen as part of a raid encounter, yeah. So that's what it's going to be about. So we see Ashara.
Yes, Blizzard was teasing that she was going to be trapped in one of the 8.3 raid fights, but we learned that she lives. We help free her, which is kind of funny because we were just trying to kill her, but she's so charismatic that we're now helping save her.
Yeah.
And as thanks, she tells Rathian that she was planning on using the Blade of the Black Empire to stab N'Zoth, and then she makes a void portal and just pieces out. So
yeah, I'm off.
Yeah, so she's alive and well too, out there in the void. She could be coming back in a later expansion as well. So remember when we saw that pin set of Ashara and the Lich King? They could be related, or
yeah, there could be something going on there.
Ashara has this line that says, she says, "No matter, Xalatath is yours, mortal. Strike true. Should your first blow fail, you will not survive to attempt another." But then she says, "Now go and do what you will. I tire of intermediaries and heralds. The true throne of power beckons, and I intend to claim it." So does Ashara want the Lich King's crown now? Like, did Sylvanas, talk about or plan to master death and make it seem like this was the true source of power? So now Ashara is after that too? Because it's like she suddenly doesn't care about N'Zoth. Like, she's confident that we're going to defeat N'Zoth, and she's on a bigger source of power now.
A new pursuit.
Yeah. So she's out there, she's freed, she's not working for him anymore. She's out there slithering around the world, and that's usually not good.
Yeah.
And it's just I just like, we tried to kill her. She was the final boss of the raid, and now we just helped free her and made no effort when she just left. Like, we didn't even bargain with her to protect us, because I don't know. It's just But yeah,
It's like
so
new
that,
priorities. We don't need to kill you anymore.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, everyone was like, where has Ashara gone? And who else went through a void portal? Well, Xalatath did in the Crucible of Storms raid. Are they going to meet up at some point?
Mm-hmm.
And which also begs the question that Ashara tells us she wanted to use the dagger, but we ignore her, as we'll get to in the next spoiler bit. So we ignore her, and instead we use this Forge of Origination to blast a beam of light at N'Zoth. So it's like, why don't we use the dagger? And then it's like, does Ashara even know that Xalatath was freed from the dagger? Because she wasn't around for any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you almost have to wonder that, did N'Zoth plant the dagger so Ashara would kind of get off her ass and be like, oh, I gotta free you now, because they were waiting for 10,000 years. So, like, was this all a big ruse where, like, the dagger doesn't really do anything, or it's weakened with Xalatath gone, but just the presence of it makes Ashara want to, like, finally free N'Zoth? But yeah, it's very interesting. And this could also help ensure that the Old God storyline never really dies if Ashara is out there and Xalatath is out there, and maybe Xalatath is even an Old God, because there was some talk in an in-game book, The Old Gods and the Ordering of Azeroth, that there are 5 Old Gods, not 4, at an earlier point in WoW's history. So maybe she wants maybe she still like, the Black Empire is still mine to rule. I can rule it by myself. I don't need to be subservient to N'Zoth. So it's interesting. And if you also look at the line about at the hour of her third death, she ushers in her coming. Like, Ashara is very narcissistic. Maybe she thinks that applies to us. That applies to herself. So maybe she thinks that she already, died twice, and now she needs to master the Lich King's power, master death, so she, doesn't die again. She likes to make everything about herself. And then maybe that's why she is afraid of Sylvanas gaining a type of power that she doesn't have. We'll have to see. So, and I also remember that at BlizzCon 2017, the parallels were made that Ashara was like, oh, Ashara is like Gul'dan. And everyone assumed that it meant Ashara was the mid-expansion boss. But if you take that further, Gul'dan was in Warlords and Legion. So maybe it's another parallel how Ashara...
It's extended.
Bridges both stories as well. Because there's a lot of mysteries we don't know. It's like, how did Ashara get the Tidestone of the Pillars of Creation?
Yeah.
What does that mean for the other 4 Tidestones? Like, that doesn't seem very good. And a lot of people were sad that there was not a Tyrande and Ashara confrontation in 8.2. But if Ashara is going to continue to survive, maybe there would end up being a showdown between, Ashara on one extreme with the Old Gods, and then Tyrande on another extreme as the as the Night Warrior. So that could be something interesting in the future. So it'd also be interesting. So Tyrande, as she's upset with Sylvanas, sometimes she says that she wants to find out, why did Elune abandon the Night Elves? And I think that would be interesting if Ashara was involved in some way. Because I don't know, I just feel like Ashara would want to meddle with that, especially because the current Night Elf culture was like the antithesis of Ashara's, beautiful vision of, the highborn and magic, and Tyrande was, like the upstart. Ashara didn't go for Night Elves with their nature and hippies. They were like beneath her. So I could see Ashara trying to meddle with, the Kultiran fleet and the Zandalari positions of power. I could also see her trying to meddle with Elune in some way as well.
I was gonna say something, but I didn't want to interrupt, and I forgot. Just left my brain. No, but yeah. It's really interesting how we see these characters. I think that's what I was gonna say. I feel like BFA feels a little bit like a middle expansion. Where things kind of are not really closing. It's a lot of like an introduction to the next expansion, and I almost feel like every second expansion feels like that. So
they have to build up the new characters so they have the emotional payoff in the expansion after.
So we had Legion, then the BFA was a bit like of a build expansion, and then the next expansion I think will be a lot more hype. And having characters like Ashara probably going into the next expansion kind of also goes towards that.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, we just defeat N'Zoth, like that's it. Like, you know, the so much of the expansion was about faction conflict. We only have one patch, it's really about the old god.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, Ashara is still out there and Xalatath is still out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they both have a grudge against the old gods.
Mm-hmm.
So they could be doing some serious damage or wanting to take it over. Like, you know, Ashara didn't like working for N'Zoth. She wanted to kill him. Xalatath was trapped in a blade for millennia. You know, she's not really, you know, happy about life either. She's, you know, has a grudge towards the stronger old gods. So I can see them trying to do something in a big way to reclaim some power now that they're the surviving ones and N'Zoth is, you know, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's an interesting twist too. It's like, should we? I mean, I guess all options were bad, but we're celebrating N'Zoth being dead. But it's like, well, N'Zoth being dead means that someone else, like Ashara, could claim his throne, or Xalatath could claim his throne. Like, there's just a series of other problems. We didn't, you know, eradicate the old gods. There are still some big bads out there.
Yeah, it has to be like that. What else are we gonna kill next? Need to have something to kill. Needs to be a bad guy. It can't just end.
Sylvanas is being nice. Sylvanas is like, I want to master death. Like, you know, everything is dead. Nothing can die. Everything is already, you know, in the state of serving me. Like, it's just permanent. No one, like, no new boss is dying. Everything's already dead. She's trying to be helpful. So, as our final topic, why don't we actually discuss this raid finale that I've been sort of alluding to? Basically, this is the cutscene. So, as I was explaining before with the Death Knights, the cutscene is when your character with their transmog is involved, and it's not the cinematic, which has, you know, all the epic things like, you know, like super high resolution and, you know, like 6 minutes long. So there's probably more to the story. There's probably some twist. There's probably like Xalatath playing a role or Ashara doing something. But yeah, basically, do you want to maybe play the cinematic, the cutscene?
Oh yeah, yeah, I actually have that. For some reason, I thought this was another one that was just text, but no, you're right. Yeah. Oops, okay, not this one. Yeah. There we go. I'll play it. I think it doesn't have any sound, or does it?
I don't think it does, which made it very memeable because people were like uploading all sorts of sounds on top of it.
Yeah. Well, that means that we can actually commentate at the same time. But yeah, here it is. Here's the cutscene with your character as part of the cutscene, and it's huge spoilers. Yeah. There was a huge sign at the beginning of the video as well. But yes, there it is.
Yep.
So this happens after we defeat N'Zoth?
Yeah. This is towards the end of the phases. So if you look at all the little people, if you zoom in, they're all little Sylvanuses, which I think is a placeholder, but I don't know. Feels like the Blizzard is trolling us.
It's funny.
But yeah, I'm getting the vibe that N'Zoth is weakened, but we're all being pulled towards him, that we're sort of like on the verge of losing as well. Like, if, you know, like if everyone sort of is just looks purpley by themselves, and then we do something good with the Heart of Azeroth for a change.
Do something good for a change.
Yeah. No, like, oh, we just like blow things up and like free N'Zoth and just act horrible to each other, and now we're doing something positive with it.
See, this is why we wanted Heart of Azeroth. How else would we beat N'Zoth? But yeah, I think that was the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So I hope we don't secretly make N'Zoth stronger.
Like we just buffed him.
Well, the Heart of Azeroth was needed to free
him from the chains.
His chains. Yeah. And so it's like, did we just, like, I don't know, boost his immunities to being I don't know. But I feel like there's more to the story.
And this is the
Um,
final raid of the expansion, probably, right?
well, who knows? Maybe Blizzard's like, oh, there's like a, I don't know, Finding Sylvanas raid or something
Because it
weird.
feels like maybe there should be another mini raid of some sort. Because why are we just getting a cutscene instead of a real
Well,
cinematic if it's the last?
well, there could be maybe I could see there being the cutscene, and then we have like a final phase where we just sort of wail against N'Zoth, like I don't know his husk, and then when he's finally dead, then it's like,
Oh, true,
here's
because
this
you don't actually know what
thing.
happens once we're using
Yeah,
this.
and it's
Yeah,
like
that's true.
we hear this rumbling sound behind us, and Ashara like flies in with her dagger and sucks up the empowered essence of N'Zoth into the dagger and is like, I am the old god now. Maybe that's what's gonna happen.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the final thing. The cutscene is more to show our final action, and then something happens. Gotcha.
Yeah. I do feel like Ashara is going to take the dagger. The more I think about it, I feel like they've talked about the dagger so much. He's going to try something stupid with it. But Rathian has the dagger now, so maybe he'll do something weird. I don't know. I'm happy Rathian is back. I feel like we covered last week, right? That it was the illusion that he was corrupted. He wasn't actually corrupted.
Yeah. And he was making fun of how we fell for that.
Yeah. So he's probably like, oh, I'm trying to save these people and they're horrible.
They can't tell me apart from an image.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm not going to trust these people to kill N'Zoth. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that was actually it in terms of actual new things to talk about.
Yeah.
I also noticed that the whole Titan forging caused a very heated debate in the chat. It wasn't bad. You can keep debating. Debating is good. It's good to talk about the goods and bads of everything, and the fact that some people like Titan forging, seeing that makes me realize, like, oh, okay, like, I guess the system does work. That's why Blizzard wants to keep it. But I just personally don't like it. I want some kind of BIS to strive for. I don't believe that everyone is BIS after a couple months. There's still people who are progressing the raids and are not killing the last bosses, etc. But we'll see.
If you also have strong feelings on the system, Blizzard did say in their blue post that it's the PTR and now is the time when they wanted feedback. So take your comments from Twitch and Wowhead. You can still put them on those places, but also make sure they're on the official Blizzard forums so Blizzard can easily find them.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this corruption thing will play out. Hopefully it'll feel better, and then hopefully it just is scrapped altogether and we get normal items. That would be great. No, but we'll see. I think it would be nice with a more straightforward grind towards upgrades rather than, oh, I was lucky this week from the Mythic Plus chest. But we'll see.
We're done with the show notes, but my coworkers are posting a lot of stuff because I've obviously been doing the show. So definitely check Wowhead if you apparently.
Let me remove spoiler tag.
Yeah, Blizzard changed the way the realm population labels work on WoW Classic realms. Blizzard has updated the WoW Classic Not a Bug list with 3 new entries about thrash mechanics, righteous fury, and sharpening stones. And Blizzard has posted a guide to Blizzcon 2019 on how to watch and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So little updates there that you can read more on Wowhead.
Yep. So not really juicy stuff that fits into what we want to highlight on the show. Not tons of picture friendly stuff, but people will care about those posts. So.
Yeah, if you want to read more about anything related to the things that Perk just mentioned, or even the things that we covered in today's show, feel free to check out the articles that are visible on the Wowhead front page, where the show is currently featured on, or just searching on the Wowhead page on any of the topics, and they are all there as articles. And that's the case with every single show. Every single show that we do are based on the articles that are on Wowhead already. We call it Wowhead Weekly, and what we do is that we pick out certain articles every week that we think are important enough to be lifted onto the show. There is obviously a lot more information if you want to look into details of things on Wowhead for more articles. But we try to highlight what we find the most interesting, or hopefully what we think you guys will find the most interesting. So that's what we do. And today we were here in our Murloc costumes, or onesies rather. Perk got her new one from Blizzard just now, so she was wearing hers, and I thought, well, why not? I should go into my green one. Does Wowhead have different time zone schedules for BlizzCon?
You can, well, if you go to the official Blizzard site, it will adjust your schedule based on the time zone you are in.
Okay.
So like when I was on the East Coast, I was looking at the schedule, all the times were different than when I went to the West Coast. So it should automatically adjust for whatever region you are in.
Goddess crowned up a virtual ticket, it seems. In case you missed the part about that, that's also really interesting. On the first day, all the coming soon sections on the schedule are actually open to even non-virtual ticket users. So if you're somebody who can't afford a virtual ticket, you can be happy to know that those are going to be very interesting panels. Probably they're still mysterious, and they're going to be available for free, so you can go ahead and watch them. And then sometimes you may not be sure whether you should buy a ticket or not because you haven't decided yet. Maybe those coming soon panels will help you make that decision as well. So I recommend checking out the free panels, at least if you can't get a virtual ticket.
Yep. And we actually have a giveaway wrapping up for virtual tickets very shortly. We've got 25 that we're giving out this week. And one option is to follow me on Twitter. You can submit a screenshot. We tried to keep our classic audience in mind. So you have to do something with an achievement in game to enter, but classic doesn't have achievements. So we have I think this week it's all Sylvanas themed. So
is there a link for that so people can read more about the giveaway?
Yeah. Let me. Oh fuck! I typed in the wrong section. There you go. There's the tweet. So you can learn how to get 25 more. There are some in Discord. You can take a picture with Sylvanas or the Lich King influenced areas. You can complete a bunch of achievements that are Sylvanas or Lich King themed. And we also have a Gleam giveaway where you can do things like follow Wowhead on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, various stuff like that. And this, when does this end? See, if Sass was here, I would knew when it would end.
I'm sure there's information on the page itself.
It ends tomorrow at midnight.
Last second.
Yeah, so you have 30 hours to enter. So yeah.
If you have an actual BlizzCon ticket, virtual ticket is included, yes. So you get access to the digital things, including the goodies that you get for the different games, as well as being able to watch it on your app if for whatever reason you don't end up actually going there. Well, I mean, there's other reasons too. Sometimes you may be watching a show IRL, a panel directly when it's live, and then you missed some other panels that happen at the same time, then you can use the app to catch up with those. Because I think there's a period of time that you can go back and watch the different episodes. If you have a BlizzCon ticket, how you claim it, there should be an email sent to you with a specific code, and you redeem that code onto your account. So if you have a BlizzCon ticket and you haven't seen the email, maybe check your spam folder, and I guess worst case, contact Blizzard somehow to see how that can be found. But you should have an email.
Yeah. So, that's what wraps it up for this week.
Thank you guys so much for hanging around, watching, and taking part in asking questions and everything. Hopefully we covered most of the questions and comments in the chat. With Sass not being here, it does become a little bit harder, especially if you guys ask something in the middle of a conversation that we may not be able to answer it, and then afterwards we forget. But hopefully it was okay, and you guys feel like your questions were heard. And the video or the show will, as usual, be posted up on YouTube. So you can always ask some questions there as well in the comments, or keep questions for the next live show where we will do our best, as always, to answer them. I also saw a comment just now as I was saying this. Why is Classic involved? Lol, they don't care about new WoW, so BlizzCon is useless to them. BlizzCon covers Classic news as well. So that's why Classic
Yeah.
players will also
We
care.
learned about Classic at BlizzCon, so
Yeah, and like the
yeah.
information for phase 2, maybe the possible dates for it, and maybe some more things about scheduling will probably be covered at BlizzCon. So there's going to be probably some things that are interesting for Classic players as well. And there's also a lot of people who are interested in retail but are just not playing retail at the moment. They might still be interested to see how the new expansion will play out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and
that's about
yeah,
it.
I believe that's it from us. Thank you guys again for supporting, and we'll see you guys again. I would say next week, same time usually, but this time it's going to be a bit different because BlizzCon is coming up. We're going to have a post-con show on the 3rd. So on Sunday, November 3rd, we will have a quick IRL show with me and Perk where we quickly talk about our first impressions of everything while it's still fresh in our heads. And that'll be the Wowhead show for the coming week, since on the Monday, I will be traveling. So, yeah, we'll cover a Wowhead Weekly on the Sunday instead, and hopefully have some fresh thoughts on what we just saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we should do our high five.
Yes, it's time for a high five.
Yep.
I'm ready.
So, I forget. Okay, this is the correct hand, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right, so 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we did it.
Yay!
High five. We will see you guys on Sunday for our after show. And until then, you can follow us on Twitter, where we will probably be posting things that we're doing at the show or at the event. And you can also follow Wowhead, because I'm sure Wowhead will also be updating things all the time. And that's it. I hope you guys have a great, is it week? Yes, it's Monday today, right?
Week.
Yes, I hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you guys next time.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.